We got together afterwards, and the key is, another key is, this doesn't have to dictate the process. What this should do is inform the process. It should guide the process. So these are the actual scores of the 15 people we talked to. Obviously, the names aren't there. But the actual scores, the composite scores of the people who interviewed those candidates. And we didn't necessarily say, okay, the 7 highest scores are the ones we're going to advance to the community interviews. But we kind of went through these, and you'll see, in some cases, you'll see an arrow down, which meant, maybe that person's not going to get included. But we had a couple people, that scored fairly high that had some red flags, and we thought maybe, we've gone as far as we want to go in this conversation. Then a couple people that had circles a little bit lower that we wanted to kind of think about moving up because maybe, we'd like the community's perspective on this, but maybe we're not sure that we want to necessarily end the conversation with that candidate at that point. So we used the scoring system to kind of guide our conversation about who might go to that next round. So when we got to the next round, we had 15 candidates, and we dropped, I think it was down to 7. And then 1 got hired by another district, and 1 dropped out for another reason. I think we ended up having actually 5 that moved forward. If we can go to the next slide. And this is when we introduced, which is arguably one of the more radical ideas, and I still give Chuck a ton of credit for being open to doing this. I've used behavioral assessments a lot on executive searches in the private sector. And I think all of us as board members realize that not everything we do in the private sector necessarily translates well over into public education. So I'm always a little bit, questioning whether it's the right thing to do or not, but I felt in this case it might be. Because effectively we're looking for a senior executive, senior administrator for a school district. Maybe it would work the same way. So what is a behavioral assessment? And, some of you guys have maybe taken this Myers-Briggs type test and so on. I'm a big fan of what's called the DISC assessment. We'll talk about that in a moment. But really it's a chance to put some science and potentially some data behind the things that are sometimes hard to get our finger on. How many people were in the session right before this one? I talked about the characteristics of the superintendent. Many of you guys, a couple of who were. The 2 leading ones there were leadership qualities and socio-political positions. Well, those are hard to quantify. And in fact, the previous presenter even shared that. This is a chance to really see that profile you spent so long in the community putting together, and those attributes that you agonizingly and painstakingly thought about. How close does this person come to it? And more importantly, what's the reason for any deltas? So you can really understand the person a little better. So first off, there's some candidate implications to doing this. You have to say right up front, we're going to run this profiling thing on you. What it involves is someone going online, taking a half-hour quiz, and then some results come out of that quiz, and I'll show you some samples of those outputs in a moment. It's about a 66-page report that comes out about someone, going into a lot of detail about how they might match what you're looking for. And then thankfully there's a summary that goes with that. And so that's I don't know that that's been done in New York State on a superintendent search before. So it was a new idea for our candidates to get their head around.
Yeah, it's not very common, and it's we have used it since the burn bills in another search. And I got to say that one of the things that I was concerned with is how it would be accepted by the candidates. And the fact is that that was not a problem at all. I've never had anybody tell me that either they didn't apply because of having to do the behavioral assessment or tell me they were going to drop out because they had to take it. One of the things, though, is that I had to be very assuring to the candidates that this wasn't about trying to determine strengths and weaknesses of them. It was about trying to find out what they were all about and whether their behavior matched, their assessment matched what the district was looking for.
Right, yeah, and that's an important point. It's also took some board training for people to get their heads around that too, that there's no good or bad answers, there's no good or bad reports that come out of this. It's really what we do with the information to inform the process. Now the second major bullet down here, cost. So this is another thing, it's not free. So you want to be careful if you do choose to use something like this, that you use it when you've narrowed the field quite a bit. In our case, we got it down to 5 candidates. Depending upon whether you can get it aidable or through, we have what's called a BOCES co-serve. But if you pay retail, it's about $750 per profile. So for example, if you get it down to 5 people, you're talking about $37.50 as a price tag. Retail, again, you may be able to get some tax aid on it. I don't know exactly